Hey guys, welcome back to another Halloween tutorial. This one is going to be kind of a 2-on-1. As you can see, it's Freddy versus Jason. If you want to just be Jason for Halloween, you can follow this half of my face. But if you want to be just Freddy for Halloween, you can follow the other half of my face. Or you can be crazy like me and do both of them at once. So I'm going to start out with Jason's side, and I'm taking my Snazaroo white face paint. And this is one of my favorite face paints to use. I'm going to start applying it, and then I decided that I wanted to map out half of my face so I didn't go over the line into the Freddy side. So I'm just taking a nude brown colored pencil and just drawing a line all the way down my face. This just makes it a little bit easier to know where to paint. I also continued it down my neck a little bit because I'm going to be doing some of Freddy's burns on my neck. So I'm just taking that paint and I'm just going to do a quick first layer. I'm going to have to do 2 layers of this just because I wanted it to be as opaque as possible. And 1 layer doesn't really do it for me. So I'm basically filling in everywhere except for my eye and my brow because it is going to be a mask, so the eye is going to be open. I'm not going to go super in depth when it comes to blocking out my brows, but I'm just going to put a couple layers of glue over it and then just start to paint over it. As you can see, my brow still shows through a little bit, but if you guys want to go more in depth and like do a bunch of steps to make sure your brows won't show through, there are tons of videos on YouTube about that, so you can just search it and you'll find something good. So I'm just going through with my second layer of face paint. As you can see, it makes it a lot more opaque. With these water activated paints, especially the whites, sometimes you have to go in with a couple layers, maybe even 3, to make it really opaque. So to cover up my brow a little bit more, I'm just going to put some white paint on an eyebrow spoolie and I'm just going to brush it through my brows, and that covers it up pretty well. So this is the really quick way to cover brows. Okay guys, real quick, I don't know what happened to one of my clips. As you can see on the white part of my face that I just painted, there are some yellow and brown marks and it looks a little bit dirty. Basically what I did was just took a light tan and a dark yellow eyeshadow and I just kind of took it on a big fluffy brush and just stippled it around my face. I decided to take a lipstick tube because it was the perfect size for the holes on the mask, so I dipped it in the black paint of the Makeup Forever Flash palette, but it didn't turn out as well as I was hoping, but at least it had the shape on there and the size that I wanted. So after I stamped it on my forehead, I went back in with the paint in a small Smith Cosmetics brush and I just filled it in. You're going to want to look at a reference picture of Jason for this part. That's what I was doing as I was filling in the holes, just so I knew exactly where to put the holes and how many of them to do. So I'm doing 4 on my forehead, I'm doing 3 on the temple area, and then some more basically all around the mask. So on the cheekbones, on the jawline, and above and below the lips. I'm going in with a black eyeshadow and I'm just going over the paint just to make sure that the black is as black as it can possibly be. Now I'm going in with the white from the Makeup Forever Flash palette and I'm putting some dimension in these holes on the side of my face because I wanted it to look like if you were looking at the mask from straight on, you would see the inside sides of the holes of the mask. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the best way I can put it. So I'm just doing these little C-shaped marks on the side of the holes on the side of the mask. Now I'm going to go in and fill in that eye socket hole, and I'm just using the black paint from the Makeup Forever Flash palette, and then I'm just going to go in with some black eyeshadow and apply it more heavily around the rim of the eye hole and then softer around my eye, so it looks a little more dimensional and like the mask is casting a shadow on my face. So I'm just really going around with that black eyeshadow and darkening up the outline of the hole. Now Jason has these red marks on his mask, so I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to create these kind of triangle shapes. One is in the center of the forehead, right above the brow, and then there is another one on the cheek, about where the laugh line is, maybe a little bit further into the cheek. And then I'm just going to create some really quick dimension on the brow area because it sticks out a little bit further right there. So I'm just taking Unexpected by Makeup Geek and I'm just going to kind of run that along my brow and down my nose, just like I'm taking that same eyeshadow and I'm just going to create some indents around the holes on the mask, so on the tops and bottoms and basically on the sides, wherever, just to make it look like the holes are raised a little bit, if that makes sense. Jason also has these kind of buckle type things that are holding the mask on his face. So I'm just taking the black and a small square brush and I'm just creating that shape right there. And then I'm taking the sparkly silver so it looks like metal I'm just creating a round buckle type thing, and then extending some of the black underneath it so it looks like the silver is on top of a black strap. Then I'm going to go around and outline it and create a smaller circle on the inside of the circle. And then I'm also just going to repeat that on the side of my face. And then of course I'm going to outline the mask, so I'm just taking that black paint and a small brush and I'm just going to outline the whole thing. To really sell that this is a mask, you're going to want to shade it, so you're going to want to look like it's casting a shadow on your skin. So I'm just going to take a really small amount of black eyeshadow and I'm going to run it along that line that we just outlined. I'm kind of blending it out as I go, and then I'm taking a bigger blending brush and just going over the line so it blends out even further. And that's it for the Jason side, and now I'm going to move on to Freddy. Let's do it. I'm going to start out by mapping out where I want the burn marks to be on my face, so I'm taking I think this is a brow pencil by Pixie Beauty. I'm just going to map out these kind of oblong, weird jelly bean shapes. I'm going to make some bigger in the middle of my face and then some smaller. Basically, just look at a reference photo like I said earlier, it's going to be a lot easier. I'm also going down my neck as well. Okay guys, now's the gross part. So a lot of Freddy tutorials require latex, but I wanted to use gelatin because it looks more realistic in my opinion. So I took 4 tablespoons of gelatin, 4 tablespoons of glycerin, and then 6 tablespoons of water. And you're going to want to mix that together and then microwave it for only a few seconds, and then it's going to turn into this pasty goop. So I'm just taking a popsicle stick and I'm spreading the gelatin around my face, trying not to get it into the circles that I just outlined. So that's why I mapped those out, so I know where not to put the gelatin. Basically, you're just going to want to tilt your face and try not to let the gelatin get into those spots. Also, don't get this in your mouth like that. This was actually one of the most disgusting things I've ever done. So yeah, it smells bad, tastes even worse. Just take my word for it. If you accidentally get some in the places that you mapped out, you can kind of mold the gelatin with the clean end of the popsicle stick. Don't worry, you don't have to start over or anything. You can just kind of shape it how you want it. But you kind of do have to work really fast with gelatin because it will set up pretty quickly. You don't have to worry about getting this on your hair or on your eyebrows or anything like that. It's not going to pull out your hair when you remove it, so don't worry. Okay, now that I have all the gelatin on, I'm going to wait a couple minutes for it to dry completely, and then I'm going to go over it with a foundation that matches my skin tone. I'm just stippling this on pretty lightly because I don't want it to be too wet. I'm just going to make sure that it blends in with my skin. And then I'm just going to go in with a loose powder and set everything to get rid of that glossy look. So I'm mixing the red and the pink and a little bit of white from the flash palette to get this kind of light pink tone. And I'm just going to go in and fill in every single space that the gelatin is not covering. So ideally this would be all of the places that you mapped out in the beginning that you didn't want the gelatin to lay on top of. And I'm going to be layering colors in these holes, so it's not going to be this bright pink the entire time. Don't worry, I'm going to add some dimension. I also just decided to take that paint and fill in everything around my eye. I decided that the pink was a little too pink and bright, so I took the red from the flash palette and I'm just going to stipple that on with a ripped up sponge in the eye socket area. I just wanted it to look a little more freshly bloody, I guess. So now I'm mixing the red and the black, just a tiny bit of the black to make a darker red. I'm just going to place this on the upper parts of each hole to make it look a little bit more dimensional. And then after that I decided to go back into every single hole that I did and apply the pure red color just to tone it down a little bit and make it look a little less pink. And then after that, I'm just going to resume what I was doing before and take that black and red mixture and just add dimension to every other little burn area. Once all of the holes are filled in and a little more dimensional, I'm going to take a tan eyeshadow and an angled brush. I'm just going to add some of the wrinkles that he has on his skin. If you look at a reference photo, he looks kind of wrinkly, like there are some lines in between the burn marks. And for the last step, I mixed the yellow and the brown from the Flash palette, and I'm just rubbing this on the Freddy half of my teeth. I wouldn't recommend you guys doing this because I don't know if it's safe, but I know you can find some tooth decay at the Halloween stores, so I would definitely use that instead if you can. Alright guys, that was it for my Freddy vs. Jason looks. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope it was helpful to you if you guys are going to be Jason or Freddy, or both of them together. Thanks for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in my next Halloween tutorial. Bye!